Hi, Bintu Agne. You're live. You're first, as always. Good morning. Today is Monday. Today is Monday. How lucky are we? The Irish Kennedys just joined. Okay. Hi, everybody. We're trying to fix something with my phone. Anyway, super excited to be here. A few days after my birthday, I'm really happy. I feel really blessed that I got the gift of another year of life. Really clear that not everybody gets that, so I'm really grateful. Really grateful that so many of you are reading the Sunday paper, commenting on the Sunday paper, loving the Sunday paper. So thank you. That's super exciting for me as I move forward in my life, as I think about how to spend my time. I love that the Sunday paper is being so well received. I'm super excited today to be talking to Andrew Cuomo about his new book. Can you see it there? It says American Crisis, Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic by Andrew Cuomo. It's already on the bestseller list, and I know we're still in the middle of the COVID pandemic, but he certainly had a head start dealing with it, so I think there'll be a lot to hear from him about. There's a lot in the COVID news today, news of a potential vaccine, news of a new task force, news of rising numbers, so there's a lot to talk about that. But there's also a lot to talk about in terms of leadership. What does it mean to be a leader? How do we define leadership? So I think I want to talk to Andrew about all of those things. And we're also going to talk with Jake Wood on Wednesday on Veterans Day. I'm super excited about that. He has a new book coming out, so we're going to talk veterans and their role in our society, their continuing role. And so how do I find Andrew? No, he's not there yet. Andrew. Just because I like to be perfectly clear and transparent, Andrew used to be married to my cousin, so my kids and his kids are related, and I've known Andrew for a really, really long time, and so I'm really happy to be welcoming him to this space, and we'll also have him up in the Sunday paper. If you're looking for he has a lot of good things. He has a roadmap in here, which is really good, about how we're each, what is the name of the book again? Somebody just said. The name is American Crisis, Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. Okay, so that's the name of his book. Somebody just asked me that question, and we're now trying to find Andrew. I just found out that Andrew has actually never done an IG Live, which I'm quite shocked about. But there's a first for all of us. And this is his first today. Is that him there? Andrew. Oh, there we are. Andrew.
Maria,
How
first
are
of all,
we?
you said you were very excited to have Mr. Wood on Wednesday, but you didn't say you were very excited to have me today.
Don't even go there. I'm thrilled to see you. It's taken me months to book you. Jake Wood is easy to book, but you have been the most difficult person to get on my IG Live. So now I'm thrilled. I love your flags behind you. You look very kind of professional, and I'm really happy to see you.
How about that total disclosure statement? He was married to my cousin. That is real disclosure.
That's good because we're family.
That's right.
I consider us family, so I just like to say that up at the beginning, that our kids are related.
That is true.
That you and I aren't technically related, although I consider you family.
Yeah, we are in the generic definition of family, but it's a level of disclosure. My brother interviews me and never says that he's my brother. How do you figure that?
Yes, he does. He says it all the time because I watch him. I was going to ask him how to help. I wanted him to help me book you, but I'm so glad that finally I got you. You were like Anyway, I want to congratulate you on this book, already on the New York Times bestseller list.
Thank you.
Is that exciting to you?
It is. It is. Well, exciting. You know, the whole past 9 months, Maria, have been so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to tell up from down, exciting from sad, but I feel good about the book because we have to get smart about this, and we have to get smart quickly.
Yeah.
And that was the point of the book.
So, a lot of news in the COVID-19 world today. Let me start with kind of the biggest breaking news about this potential vaccine. What's your reaction to the Pfizer statement?
Look, it would be great, right? This
Right.
doesn't end until we have the vaccine, and it all sounds good from Pfizer. 90% sounds great.
Yeah.
So that's all good. The next challenge is going to be the actual vaccination, right?
Right.
And as a governor, you know, as a former first lady, the whole question is how you actually do it.
That's what I
And
love about.
the reality is going to be sobering here, Maria. Think of this. For the past 8 months, all of us have been doing COVID testing like crazy, right? State of California, state of New York, everyone's been doing as many COVID tests as we could do. In 8 months, the nation has done about 120 million COVID tests. Right. We have to do 330 million vaccinations, right? So this is going to be a massive undertaking to get everybody vaccinated. But it is the beginning of the end, and that's great.
So how will they do that? How will the country come together? How will all the governors from both parties collaborate to get that actually done? How will they figure that out?
Yeah, well, that is the current topic of discussion. This year, I'm what's called the chairman of the National Governors Association. And interestingly, the Trump administration is putting that plan together right now. Because remember, they were talking about November and December for the rollout plan. So they're talking about that right now. The Biden administration starts technically January 20th.
Right.
So literally, the Trump administration is going to design the implementation plan. And that's one of the back and forth pieces we have. You know, I've had a lot of issues with the Trump administration for 4 years. I've had a lot of issues with the Trump administration through COVID. And now how we do this actual implementation of the vaccination plan is a very big deal. How we get to the volume we need is a big deal. How we do it fairly is a big deal.
Right.
You know, the poorer communities, the Black communities, brown communities, they have a much higher COVID infection rate. They have a higher mortality rate than the white population in this country. So how we make sure we get that vaccine into those communities is very important. And the Trump administration, to me, is blind to a lot of that. So we're working it through with the Trump administration, and hopefully once the Biden team comes in on January 20th, we'll have the basic design worked out.
Is this news about a potential vaccine, is that a success for the Trump administration? Do you credit the Trump administration for that?
No, because this was not a government function, right? This is probably the one clear private sector function, and it's the one thing that worked well. The drug companies were in a foot race to develop the vaccine. Yes, Trump encouraged them to do it, but so did billions of dollars in profit encourage them to do it, right? You have every private pharmaceutical company on the globe in a foot race to develop the vaccine, because whoever gets it done first, that company does very, very well. So they didn't need Trump to tell them, develop a vaccine, there's billions of dollars to make. That wasn't government's role. They were going to develop the vaccine as quickly as they could. Government's role is going to be, going forward, how do you implement it? And government's role retrospectively was, why weren't you better prepared for the COVID virus? Why didn't you warn us? Why didn't we have masks and gowns? Why did you lie to the American people? Everything the Trump administration was supposed to do, they didn't do, in my opinion.
So President-elect Biden today announced his task force for COVID. Are you encouraged by that? Do you speak to that says, I want to hit the ground running when I take over? I want to have the best people on the job. I don't want to miss 1 minute. Does that encourage you today?
Yes, for two reasons. First, Joe Biden, and I saw your tweets on Joe Biden. I think you're exactly right. I've known him a long time. He is what he appears to be. He's an authentic, genuine, soulful man.
Right.
And he is as earnest and nice as he appears.
Right.
And I think his personality is just going to be a healing balm for this nation after Trump. He's honest and straightforward, and he said COVID is the #1 problem after Trump denying it for all those months. He's saying, I want to follow the science. That's why his task force, if you notice, they're all scientists.
Yes.
Follow the science, follow the data, follow the facts. This is not a political issue. Do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask? It's about science, and that's what the task force signals. And he says we have to come together on this, and we have to stop the division, which I believe is the #1 problem this nation has had. This division to such an extent that we demonize each other and we define ourselves by opposition. If you are on one team and if you say this, then I'm against it just because you said it. I mean, it's terrible, that America.
Governor, how do we do that? So he said he's talked a lot about bringing the country together, right? President-elect Biden, he said that's also his mandate, right? COVID and bringing the country together. But this was a huge split. I mean, I have to say I was taken aback about how split we actually are. So it's going to be up to each and every one of us, and in particular to governors and senators and political leaders to do their part in healing and in bringing the country together. What can governors do to follow suit with what the president-elect is saying?
Yeah, you're right. But let me take half a step back if I can, Maria. With Trump, we had a person who was the divider in chief.
Right.
Trump is a marketing man. That's what he is. I know him from New York. He was not a businessman. He was not a developer. He's a marketing man.
Yeah.
And he sensed the divisions in this country. And he marketed the divisions. The oldest political strategy is divide and conquer, right?
Right.
He saw the racial divisions. He saw the religious tensions. He saw the social issue tensions. And he maximized each one to divide. Immigration was divisive. Guns were divisive. Abortion was divisive. Muslims
but how do we
were
get
divisive.
over that now? But how do we move beyond that?
Well, first, stop the division. Stop the constant reinforcing of divides. Because this nation, everyone is different. That's the one unique thing about this country. We're not one race, one religion. The commonality of America has to be affirmatively engaged. We are only united by our ideals and our concepts. And that's what Biden has to remind people. Yes, we're black, we're white, we're gay, we're straight, we're transgender, but we're Americans, and American means something. It means a set of beliefs and inclusion and community and non-judgmentalism. That's what governors have to do and the president has to do. And each of us have to find that moral core that was America.
Right. So it's about what Biden is saying, but it's really also about each and every one of us. He's not going to be able to kind of bring that split together unless governors help him, senators help him, individuals with no political platform say, I will also do my part. Just like you talk about in this book, individuals doing their part, right? In terms of washing their hands, wearing their masks, socially distancing, quarantining when necessary. So crosses over also into how we speak to one another, how we look at one another, and how we demonize or choose not to demonize the other, correct?
That is exactly right. Because look, I believe Trump didn't create the divisions. He
Right.
maximized the divisions. And we have better angels on one shoulder, and we have our darker instincts on the other shoulder, and we can go either way. And
Right.
differences scare us, right? That's a human instinct. We have to get better in touch with our better angels, and we have to hear them, and we have to have a dialogue about the commonality of being an American and what that means and who we are and what we represent and what we do for each other. COVID, I think, is going to be a great point for Joe Biden to actually rally around, because COVID, when you think about it, I'll give you this metaphor. The problem with COVID is what they call community spread, right? Where it takes off in the community. The only way to solve community spread is to forge community.
Amen.
Right? The only community solves it, that interconnection, that interrelation, where I care enough about you and you care enough about me, just because we're Americans,
Right.
that we protect one another.
So, Governor, you were saying, I saw you over the weekend talking about COVID, and you said we're entering a really dark period, probably the toughest 2 months. And yet you hear millions of other people saying, I'm exhausted from it, I'm over it, I'm bored by it. How do you build community in the next 2 months?
Yeah, well, that is going to be the test. And you're right, they are at odds with each other. That COVID fatigue that they talk about, there's no simple answer, Maria. I say, look, COVID fatigue, you can't be fatigued because COVID is getting stronger. This is no time to get weak and lose your resolve. This is the season of the virus. The fall is the season of the virus. Just the way the flu season happens to be in the fall and the winter. The COVID virus is a virus of the fall and the winter. People are indoors, there's more touching, there's less. So we have to double down now. It is not the time to get callous. And we're seeing that. We're seeing the numbers go sky high all across the country, all across the world. And that's why I say it's going to be a long fall and winter. I'm even afraid that now that people hear there's a vaccine, that's going to be more of a reason to relax, right? Oh, there's a vaccine, I'm going to take a shot and it's going to be okay. We have to be very diligent over these next couple of months.
You talking here about leadership lessons. What do you think was your best move, I guess, your best leadership example in COVID, and what do you think you did the poorest on?
The best move, I think, which was a very risky move at the time, which you can appreciate given your experience and your background. I started doing these briefings.
Yeah.
Where Maria, I was so honest and authentic and unscripted, because my calculus was, I really need people to believe me, and I really need people to hear this information, and not political information and not Democratic or Republican, but they need to get this so that they respond correctly. And I was just open heart, open mind, just emotional, vulnerable. And, you know, it's a risk. People say, well, why wouldn't you? Because normally you go through the press and all these reporters and columnists, and you show a vulnerability and they say, oh, you're weak, you know, you're coming apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Cuomo had a meltdown today. He started to cry on national TV. But because it was direct to people, there were so many people, there was no filter, that the honesty resonated and connected with people. The emotion connected with people. And I really believe that if you tell people the truth intelligently and calmly, that they will do the right thing. And they did. do the right thing in New York. They really did come together.
And what do you think your biggest mistake was so far?
I was so far, you mean like life mistake?
No,
Like how
we'll
far
talk about
back?
that later.
I made a number of those. Are we talking about like in the past 6 months? What's the
Yeah,
time
we're
frame?
talking just in terms of the book, in terms
Oh,
of COVID.
okay, I'm sorry.
We'll talk later about other mistakes. We can schmooze about that. But I'm talking about COVID. What do you wish your biggest mistake was? What if you could go back in time? What would you change?
If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have paid any attention to what the federal government said. Everything the federal government said turned out to be a lie or turned out to be wrong. And those are strong words, but it's factually correct, right? We now know that the president knew about the virus and didn't tell us. They kept saying it was a China virus, right? China, China, China. The virus didn't come here from China. The virus came to the East Coast from Europe. It had left China, went to Italy, France, Spain, and had been coming from Europe for 3 months before the federal government ever gave us notice. That's why we had that sudden explosion in New York.
New York, right?
You know, we were all watching California, and there are a couple of cases in California, a couple of cases in the state of Washington that were coming from China. But the big explosion was coming from the other direction. It was coming from Europe, and the federal government never told us. They never knew, or they lied. They said there was no such thing as asymptomatic spread. If you remember, they said the way it spreads is somebody sneezes on you, somebody coughs on you. That was all also wrong. You didn't have to have any symptoms. And because we didn't know that, if you didn't have symptoms, we didn't test you. And that's how the virus spread. So I would have just disregarded everything they said and tried to figure it out on my own and frankly discredit whatever I was hearing from them.
Let me ask you also finally, because I know you have to run and I appreciate you actually doing this with me. But as you know, I do a lot of work in the Alzheimer's community and nursing homes under your watch and around this country, also here in California, especially hard hit. Families really deeply worried about the fall and the winter, that they're going to just see a repeat of that. What do you wish you'd done differently in that? And how can you assure families moving forward that their loved ones, if they're in nursing home, memory care facilities, it's going to be better this time?
What happened with nursing homes, and it is important, and a lot of people are concerned, and they should be. First of all, a nursing home is the battleground for COVID, right? That's where it feeds. It feeds on senior people with distressed immune systems, and that's a nursing home. The way it got into nursing homes was it walked in with the staff.
Right, caregivers.
Yes, especially in the beginning, because again, you didn't have to have any symptoms and we didn't know.
Right, right.
We also believe it came in with family that was coming in to visit, and they walked it into the nursing homes. There is going to be no perfect solution. We now test every nursing home worker once a week. If it gets worse, I'm going to go to twice a week for every nursing home worker. If it gets worse, you would have to ban visitation again, no family, which is very harsh.
Very harsh because we have people dying in isolation in this country.
Yes, but that's why this is such a mean virus. Look at it puts you between a rock and a hard place. Visitors come in to see their family. Unless you tested every visitor, it just takes one. It just takes one child to walk in with the virus, and then it's in the nursing home. But that's what you would have to do. You know, there is no perfect solution because there is no hermetically sealed nursing home, right? You can't get to that. Interestingly, the most daring example in France, I believe, the nursing home staff lived in the nursing home for months and never went home. That's the perfect situation, right? That's the safest situation. Right. But, you know, you can't do that. People have families, people have lives.
So finally, Governor, are you optimistic that these lessons that you outline in your book will carry us through this difficult and dark period that you say is upon us and is only going to get worse?
We're better prepared. That will never happen again. We have the materials, we have the training, we have the hospital beds, government is ready. Will we do the right thing? I don't know, Maria. I hope that people see the numbers start to go up and that knocks them out of their fatigue, right? Mm-hmm. And they redouble their efforts. But it is what we do. It's such again, I'll go back to it, it's such a metaphor. You are in control of your own life. It's what you do. It's your discipline. I say to New Yorkers all the time, you tell me what you do today, I'll tell you the COVID numbers tomorrow. It is a direct result of your action.
And you have a big thing about that in the book, about personal responsibility and about how each of us can be responsible and can impact others. And that's an important message to read about in here coming up on Thanksgiving. Right? I'm hearing that in my own house. What are we doing? How are we managing? All of us do play a role and have an effect on others that we come into contact with. So I know you're in a hurry. I want to thank you.
I'm not in a hurry. Why are you kicking me off your show,
I'm not
Marie?
kicking you off. I've been told that your people. I don't even have any people, but your people are on the phone here saying it's over. Cut, go. He has to go. So
no,
I think pay attention to your people because I've been dealing with your people to get you to come on and talk to me. And I'm so glad that I got to see you. And congratulations on your book. Once again, it's called American Crisis, Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic by Andrew Cuomo. Thank you.
Good. So good to be with you. I miss you.
I miss you too. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you.
There you had Governor Andrew Cuomo talking about his new book. As I just mentioned, it's called American Crisis. It's you can get it now. And I think he has a roadmap in here. I think he talked about the vaccine. He talked about the new task force announced today by President-elect Biden. He talked about nursing homes. He talked about individual responsibility. And he talked about the virus, which is very much alive and well. And we're entering a tough time. And I know there's a lot of COVID fatigue. I know there's a lot of feeling of like, I've had it, I'm over it, and I want this to be over. But we're all responsible and our actions have impact on others. So I hope if you can take, buy the book, read it, see what he has to say. And this will be up in the Sunday paper on Sunday. So I want to thank you all once again for joining us today. And have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.